Now, with issues of data theft, alleged co-monitoring, illegal data scrutiny, and monitoring of citizens, this bill seems right according to data analysts. But what exactly are the benefits of this bill to Nigerians? We have in the studio the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, Dr. Vincent Olatunji. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what are your, let's start this way, data protection, privacy of the consumer or of the subscribers. What are the challenges you face in data protection and the privacy, the protection of the privacy, the right of the consumer or subscriber to privacy?
Thank you very much. We are all aware that now we are moving almost every aspect of our life to online. Okay. We're migrating almost everything online. But with what happened with COVID, that almost everything moved online, especially in the education sector, even health. And in Nigeria as of today, we have about 65% of Nigerians who belong to the youth group. And this set of people, they can virtually do nothing if you move their lives offline. And even those in the rural communities, the so-called uneducated people, almost everything, at least they have phones, they can make calls, smartphones, they can send messages, receive payments, debit alerts and stuff like that. And before you can actually do this, you must have given out your personal information. For instance, before you own the phone, you must have registered with your service provider, that is the telcos, who in some cases use data processors. Because you have data controllers and data processors. Data controllers are those who determine the way your data, that is your information with them, is used. Data processors are those who collect data on behalf of data controllers. Now, before you have access to these services, even your banking service, even your hospital records and stuff like that, you must have given out your information. That's in terms of your name, your telephone number, your house address, your date of birth, your BVN, all these are your personally identifiable information. And there are some that are regarded as sensitive data, that is your health record in the hospital, your religious belief, your labor lineage, your sexual orientation, all these are personally, they are sensitive information. And you require additional layer of security to ensure proper protection on this, in this area, that is the area of sensitive data. But generally, what is really important is that whenever your data is given out to any data controller or data processor, they owe you that duty of care to ensure that your data with them, that is all those things that I've mentioned, are secured, they are safeguarded and processed within the available laws in the country. Now in Nigeria, the foundation is even in our constitution, from the letter from Mr. President to the Senate, to the National Assembly. It was clearly said that even the foundation is our constitution, especially particularly section 37 of the United Constitution as amended, that speaks to the issue of your names, your house addresses, your telegraphic information and stuff like that, that they should be protected. And there are several acts of National Assembly that have spoken to the issue of around data privacy, data protection, one way or the other. But there has not been any major drive to ensure proper implementation. And that was why NIDA issued the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation in 2019. So looking at what we're able to achieve within 2 years and the global best practice, because globally now, the trend is that you must have your data protection law. And when you have your data protection law, you must have your data protection supervisory authority. And in Africa as of today, out of 54 countries, 33 already have their laws, and 23 have their laws.
So Nigeria is just coming a bit late to the party, but at least we're getting there. Yes. Okay, so it's a good thing. Thank you for breaking it down for us, why this is actually important. But, you know, you've talked about the fact that we've migrated a lot of our lives online due to the circumstance we found ourselves. But data theft, how big of a challenge is that here in Nigeria? And talk to us about how the passage of this Nigeria Data Protection Bill will help ensure more protection of our personal data. Okay,
maybe I just speak briefly to the issue of the challenges that we're having in terms of, especially in terms of awareness. Because on that part of data subjects, that is you and I, who are data subjects to our banks, to our telcos, our hospitals, and so on. How are we in terms of what our data processors and data control need to put in place to ensure that our data is protected? A lot of data subjects, they don't even care. I give out my name, my telephone number, and nothing has happened. We should not wait until something happens to your data before you give it out. Now, the benefit to Nigerians is that the fact that it will guarantee trust and confidence in whatever we are doing online. And you are now aware that we have a law and the supervisory authorities to protect you, to ensure that data controllers and data processors put in place measures, adequate measures, to ensure that your data with them is protected. So if there is an issue, you have somewhere to go, run to now. You have a law to protect you. And we are here at the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau to ensure that that law is implemented. And when it comes to issue of enforcement, we go out for full enforcement, and we invite data controllers, data processors to answer questions when there are issues of data breaches. And we've been doing that since we started. So awareness is a major issue.
Data theft, is it a major challenge in Nigeria of today?
It is a major problem globally. Because it's like when crimes are committed in your physical life, the same thing happens online. It's even more important that you ensure protection online, because those who engage in cyber crime, they're always ahead. They know the kind of solutions you have, and they know the kind of things to do to break into your system, to break into your database. So you need to put in place measures to ensure that you are always catching up, or you are even ahead of them, to ensure that in terms of technology, you put in place appropriate technology. In terms of laws, that if there's anything, if there's any breach, there are laws guiding what you are doing. And that is what the Data Protection Bill is all about now.
Okay, that takes me to the next question of artificial intelligence. Now, when this bill is passed, how do you ensure that artificial intelligence doesn't now come out to be another challenge that you cannot tame?
The issue around artificial intelligence is a global thing now, and it's being discussed at various levels. For instance, at the IAPP International Summit that just ended in Washington last week, it was a major issue there. And that is why in our own law here, we have made provisions for us to be able to issue regulations. Because you talk of emerging technologies, the digital economy sector is not static. It's very dynamic. It keeps changing every minute, every moment. That what you know now, if you're not careful, in the next 6 months, if you don't really catch up, if you don't improve yourself, you're outdated. And that is why our own law here, the way it is crafted, has got the power to issue regulations that will be relevant to whatever you are doing in terms of emerging technology. Artificial intelligence, I just mentioned, virtual reality, augmented reality, robotics, big data, all these are emerging technology that are just coming up. So there are laws that we need to put in place to ensure that when we eventually adopt and use them in Nigeria, there are laws to ensure that
they're already using them.
Yes,
So how do you marry them? How do you now marry the reality of artificial intelligence that has come to stay with these with your regulations?
I don't know if you're aware of what happened with GPT recently. Is something that is global now, that everybody is using, and this is one of them. And there are some challenges that come up with it. In fact, some countries now have even banned the use of ChatGPT because of the regulations that they have issued based on the laws that they have in place. So when we have our own laws in place, we're able to use regulations to address these challenges when they come up.
Okay, so at least we can that's even a way for us to make money, because I do know that Meta, the company owned by Facebook, actually had some fines in the US just in January. And of course, about $413 million they got fined. So good thing this bill is coming. Protecting our data, very important. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight on the program. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Data Protection Bureau, Dr. Vincent Olatunji.